Well, I'm here at Strozzi Institute. Just finished the course, The Art of Somatic Coaching, and I feel privileged to be sitting next to Richard Strozzi Heckler, founder of the Strozzi Institute, and a pioneer and authority in the field of somatics, embodiment, and leadership. And you're also an author, and The Art of Somatic Coaching is your last book.
Correct.
And I thought it would be nice to have a little conversation about the book, about somatics, about coaching, and the use of this work into organizations and society. Maybe you could tell us what is the difference between like normal coaching and somatic coaching.
Mm-hmm. Well, let me begin with, I don't want to make any claims that I know what that I'm competent at expressing what normal coaching is, but I would like to say that I started out as a body-oriented therapist and worked with many people one-on-one, and then we set up a training program very early on in the organization around how to express this to therapists, psychiatrists, counselors, drug treatment, alcohol treatment people, that how do you actually work through the body, or you include the body. And when you say body, to most people they think of the cover of a sports magazine, or the cover of a fashion magazine or something like that. And what we think of body is that this is really the place of our livingness. So inside of this form, this human form, biological form we call body, that it's where we think, it's where we feel, it's where we have emotions, it's where we act from. It's the moods that we create, and it's expression of a deeply expression of the self. So people will say, is this body language? And we go, no, it's not body language, but it really is this possibility of cultivating the self, both mentally, emotionally, and spiritually by working through the body. Yeah, and the subtitle of the book is Embodying Pragmatic Wisdom, Grounded Compassion, and Skillful Action.
Yeah.
And that's really the mission of Strozzi Institute.
Can you tell something about it? Like, what's the importance of having skillful actions, wisdom, and compassion?
And I'll back up a little bit. And what I saw as a trained psychologist and therapist, what I saw is that after a while, that in the training, you would go to a certain threshold, like you might have an insight, you might have an opening, something might be illuminated to you, like this flash of like aha, which is really beautiful, but it doesn't necessarily take you past that threshold into new behaviors or new actions or a new way of being in the world. And by working through the body, which you then begin to engage in certain practices, you learn how to embody this new way of being. And that's really one of the critical differences. And if we say, what is the foundation of those differences? It is what we would say wisdom, that we are the result of 3 billion years of evolution of life on this planet. And here we are in this incredible form. And there are things that we can touch upon, these perennial mysteries and wisdoms and traditions, by going inside of our body. And what that means really is that it's distinct from, I can think through things, or I can have an insight about something, or I can be very precise in my analytics and logic. It doesn't mean you get rid of that, but it does mean that there's another way to access certain kinds of universal truths by coming into the body. And compassion is really this capacity for a deep sense of empathy and a deep sense of being able to see somebody else's reality from their point of view, and the tremendous value in that, in being able for people to work together, to coordinate together, and also for healing. And that this notion of having acknowledgement, being acknowledged and seen and legitimatized, or reflected back, it's a very powerful thing. Skillful action is the place in which we say that what is the minimum effort and maximum output.
Mm-hmm.
So we know exactly the right move to make, exactly at the right time, what's too much, what's too little, so we can continue to kind of move the ball down the field.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So actually it opens up new possibilities.
Absolutely.
New choices.
That's right.
Yeah.
And the idea of opening up new possibilities and furthering choice is we know that choice follows awareness. And so the process at its fundamental in somatic coaching is waking up. It's a process of waking up, becoming more aware in multiple domains. And we know that the more aware we are, the more choices that we have.
I noticed during doing the course is that there's a lot of emphasis on dignity, safety, and belonging.
Yes.
Can you tell something about those three elements and the importance of them into somatics?
What we've known as humans for millennium intuitively is that we organize around safety, we organize around dignity, are we seen as having value, and we organize around belonging or having connection. And now with the great technological tools of neuroscience, we can see how those parts of the brain, or those matrix parts of the brain, light up in the child months and months before they're even sitting upright. That we are, even if it's in the background as we become more mature, we're going, is it safe? Will I belong to others? Can I be connected? Can I transmit and receive love and meaningful contact? And do people see me as having value? And so we hold that as really some basic foundation that in somatic coaching, people get connected to how do they generate internally their own safety, how they're able to act in the world where they're able to generate dignity in the assessment of dignity by others, and what does it really mean to connect with another, to make contact with another, so that we say, oh, here is inside of this connection that it's life-giving, life-generative, and life-forming. You know, we're a social being. This notion of how we make really meaningful contact, how we receive it, how we give it, how essentially when we say can we love properly, and at the very end of our short pilgrimage here, we can say, have I loved well, and have I allowed others love in. So those are foundational pieces of the work.
Yeah. It's interesting that you talk about connection. I think in the last 40 years since you've been doing this work, there's a lot of change in society. So I think connection really changed from face to face into other kind of connections, other ways of communicating. Do you see that connection is changed by that, or that there's a bigger need for people to actually maybe do this work because we kind of lost the connection?
Yeah, I think there's a number of things there. You know, as we all know, that the advances in technology are so powerful and allow us to do what we're doing right now. And we step out at lunchtime or a break from the office building, and everybody is looking at their handheld device, and they're all together in a group, but they're doing this. Or it's an interesting place of where it's going to go. You know, I'm not a Luddite. I'm not going no machines and get away from it. It's a natural progression, and I think that it raises a lot of questions that you're talking about. Professor Dreyfus at University of Berkeley, he wrote a very short little book called On the Internet, and what he talked about was certain observations that he has. He's a philosopher, and some research that shows that those classes that are done through the internet is that what gets missed is the emotional and mood of the both your fellow classmates and also the professor. And that's not a light thing. And we have to realize that this notion of, you know, our moods and emotions tell us what we care about the shifting inner and outer landscape that we have. And if that's missing in communication, there'll be a great deal that'll be missed. And while one part of us may evolve, it's this other part of us may de-evolve.
Yeah.
So somatics um, one of our emphasis is on this notion of how you connect with somebody else and how you're able to feel them and how you're allowing them to feel you. So it's not only can we think together, is that can we sense and feel each other together, which is an essential part of coordination also.
Yeah. As you look to society nowadays, there's more people with burnout, a lot of stress-related diseases. Resilience is a big theme at the moment. What kind of role do you think, like somatics and embodiment, could play in those themes?
In the American Medical Association, it's estimated that some over 85% of physician visits are because of stress issues or stress disorders. And, it's very clear that we failed as institutions in teaching people how to deal with their stress.
Yeah.
And, stress is an actually event or phenomena that could occur that would produce stress. It's also a perception.
Mm-hmm.
And there may not be any of that kind of stress, but people will work themselves up into high levels of stress or high levels of cortisol. And the practices that we do at SI and introduce people to has a great component as being a very strong medicine about how you deal with your stress.
Mm-hmm.
And we know at the speed that we're going in the world, the advances in technology and all of those things, is that it's probably not going to go away. And what we have to do is learn how to deal with it more.
Yeah.
And somatics, the study and art and research of the living body is a tremendous medicine for it. And there's actually more and more, as there's somatic departments in psychology and philosophy through different universities, the studies about how it helps stress management have shown great promise.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What would be a good way, you think, to introduce somatics in organizations? Is it like, can you work with individuals, or would it be more powerful to put it into another way into organizations?
The most powerful combination that we found is both ways, is to begin with you're working with teams or units or parts of departments, and at the same time, you inside of those trainings, in those seminars, you lay down a set of practices and a set of languages so people be able to treat each other in a different way. They're able to have conversations for action. They're able to coordinate differently. They're able to hold each other's dignity. They're able to manage their mood, manage stress. They're able to build trust more effectively through these practices. And so as they do that as a team or teams or part of a larger team, what becomes possible is that people enjoy each other more. They enjoy coming to work more. This is what we've always found in terms of the feedback we get.
Yeah.
People are able to have conversations for action more effectively. And it's also very powerful for people to have individual coaching too, so that they stay up with their commitments and they're supported in their commitments. Yeah. So really both of them.
Yeah. But that's a big thing you say, that people enjoy going to work, coming to work more, feeling themselves better. So in that, I think organizations could be a big leverage for like human health and well-being.
Absolutely. My previous book, which was called The Leadership Dojo, really looks into how this work is taken into organizations. And we have multiple organizations, both just like startups and very, very large ones, that will have inside of their facilities a leadership dojo. So they have a place where anybody can go and they can do leadership practices. They can go and there's a group at lunchtime or breaks or any other time and do meditation. They can go in there and do centering practices. They can go in there with the Aikido Jo, our staff, and then they can do practices like that before they have conversations. And it's really quite moving for us to go to these organizations, and you see on the door right there it says the Leadership Dojo.
Yeah.
Because they've seen the value of it, and it's one way they can continue to do it. And we also we'll take people usually from the human resources department and teach them the work so that as we begin to move out, they become self-generating in that practice themselves.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very interesting.
Do you have any visions about, the work of somatics, where it should go, or?
I think of two things here. One is the place where this could be introduced much earlier in education. We have a branch of the Institute where we've done a lot of research there. And, so you'll be teaching kids in kindergarten, first grade, second grade, and the teacher will tell them about being centered, like let's get present. So maybe there's a moment of transition. You're coming off the playground in, there's kind of chaos in that, or there's maybe a breakdown, and she can say, okay, let's all stop and get centered. And it's operational. They don't go, that's a good idea. Their bodies actually begin to organize in a different way where they're more present, they're more connected to themselves and others, and they're more open to other people and what can happen. So we've been working with a school up here in the Bay Area, and we've actually somatized, unquote, the entire school, where there's the administrators, the teachers, the therapists, the students have all gone through courses, and it's very, very powerful. And at one point, there's a big bell on campus, and if something's wrong, somebody can ring that bell, and everybody who hears it will stop for 15 seconds and just get present again. Just get present. And when we say get present, it's getting present with an open heart, and knowing that I'm getting present so I can be more fulfilled in my life, more successful, and I can help others do it too. So that's one place. And I think the other place is that part of the vision is, how do we build a international kind of training that would be for younger people, younger men and women, maybe second year in college. We work with a lot of people in universities around their second or third year. And what occurs there is that if it's done worldwide, they live in a common language, a common set of practices. They begin to know each other at a much deeper level about what they care about and respect for their diverse views. And then if there's a conflict in the world that comes up, these young people have then become leaders, and they'd say, you know what, I know him because he was in my class at that point, and it would be good that we can talk together. So it's kind of a ground. It could be a ground for actually international relations and possible peace.
That's an exciting thought.
That's exciting. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah, you're very welcome.
Yeah.
And let's introduce Mr. Bigglesworth for a minute. This is Mr. Bigglesworth, and he's part of the team. He's part of the team right here, and he's been really a good friend of Karin's here, and he does a lot of this kind of work where he lets himself get petted, so we can kind of soothe ourselves.
It's a way of somatics. We call it body work.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Richard, for making time for this interview. And I also want to thank you for sharing all your knowledge. I think it's very, very needed in this world. And it's a big contribution, at least in my life, but also in a lot of other people's lives. And I hope it will spread, and I will be one of the people who want to bring it to Europe.
Good. Yeah. That makes me very happy that you say that. So I'm going to pass that torch on for you to do that, okay?
Yeah, thank you.
All right.
Yeah.
And you remember, as we say at Strozzi Institute, take it easy, but take it.
Take it.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.